Hey everyone, you're listening to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh and whatever special guest he has today. You can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good. And follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the program. We have another golf coach. This is our second golf coach on Party Time, My Golf Story. The first was the coach at Babson College, Jeff Page, who coached the men's and women's teams there. Our guest today is Robbie Davis. He's the women's head coach at Florida Southern. Very successful coach. I've done some caddying with Robbie. I played college golf against him, not in the same group, but he went to University of Kentucky and I went to Purdue. He has some cool stories about just being in the game for a long time, what's changed about the game, what it's like to be a coach in the game. He is, I think we could easily say he is a golf lifer, and golf is just such an important part of his life. And when you hear a story about what he had to do to continue to stay in the coaching business, I think you're really going to admire him even more, not just for his great golf and his stewardship of a very successful program, 4-time national champions at Florida Southern under him. I think you'll really get that golf is an important part of his life. And that's really all of us. That's pretty much why we have this program, for golfers, by golfers. Couple of things, just housekeeping stuff. I say it every time, but I need your help. Please subscribe to the podcast and like it, because analytics matter to the geniuses at YouTube, at Google, to our sponsors and everybody else. So if you would take a moment and maybe leave a comment, I would greatly appreciate it. That's what keeps us going. And a big thanks to our title sponsor, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, that's not a beer or a hard seltzer, and you really want something that's classy for golfers, by golfers, that's what Party is. For a list of the places where it's served, well, you could just ask your golf course, do you have it? Oh, you don't? Well, you get it. But scrolling across the bottom will show you a list of some of our customers. And we're also moving into the marina industry, because as much as we think our drinks are great on the golf course, we're starting to get a lot of traction at dockside places and also in the boating community around Florida. Figure that one out. Good stuff. Also, if your dream is to live in a golf community in Southwest Florida, particularly around the Sarasota area, nobody better than the golf real estate pros at suncoastdreams.com, a division of fine properties in the greater Sarasota area. Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh can get you all set up. They're based at Lakewood National Golf Club, which is the #1 golf community in Florida. 2 Arnold Palmer design courses, and I think there are about 50 properties available. So trust me, it's the best. It doesn't get any better than that, and it doesn't get any better than Vince and Gene. They got you taken care of more than anything. They know exactly what they're doing. Okay, let's bring the man of the hour in, Robbie Davis. Robbie, what's going on, man?
Hello. Hey, Kevin. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, looking good. We're in the digs. We're in the home office. Is that what's going on there?
We're here at Florida Southern College, yes, in my office. And so it's a nice place to get things done and talk a lot about golf.
Yeah, tell me about the office. What am I looking at on the walls? I know you got a lot of good memories, and sometimes when things are tough, we need to look at the good times to inspire us to get back to where we were.
Yeah, just got a lot of memorabilia. You know, this started my 27th year here at Florida Southern, and Florida Southern has been a great college and a great place for me to be able to coach and be a part of a team of people that are trying to win national championships. And so it's been a place that I have a lot of great memories, and I want to remember them on the wall. We've got a lot of great players and coaches that have been here at Florida Southern. Famous Charlie Matlock that coached Lee Jansen and Rocco Mediat, and then Coach Doug Gordon that has won 6 national championships here at Florida Southern on the men's side, and then the women's team, which started in 95. I started in 96, and we've had 4 wins, national championship wins in my tenure, and hope to have another one here soon before I leave. I'd love to have that opportunity, but a lot of memorabilia on the wall. I was fortunate enough to be inducted into the Coaches Hall of Fame, and that was mostly due to the great coach Julie Garner from Rollins College that has been with them for over 30 years and has been a great mentor of mine and a friend, really, and something special because we're a rival of Rollins College, but yet we're really good friends and talk quite frequently about golf and life, and she's been a great support to me, and it's from her that I was nominated and obviously elected into the Coaches Hall of Fame, which is a great honor to be, welcomed in to amongst your peers, to be singled out as somebody that's doing well at what they do. And I was talking with you earlier, if you hang around long enough, they'll give you something for just hanging around. So that's my joke about it. But it's a thrill to coach. It's a thrill to be a part of golf. It's been a part of my life since I think 4 or 5 years old. I can't remember not playing, honestly. So It's been a great life and a lot of memories and a lot of stories.
Well, you spent most of your life in Florida, but your roots are in Kentucky. Take me back there.
Well, my family, on my dad's side, his dad was a golf coach and coached, actually was a principal at Lafayette High School in Lexington, Kentucky for 37 years and coached the great Gabe Brewer, the Masters champion. And from that, my dad was an avid golfer. And I think from that, it was in my blood to start and play and to coach and compete. And so like I said, I started, 4 or 5 years old. I remember my dad giving me a putter and it, moved on from there. And was fortunate enough. We actually lived in outside of Nashville in a place called Hendersonville, Tennessee for about 9 years, from 70 to 79. And that's where I learned the game when I was little. Our course, Bluegrass Country Club, which is still one of my favorite ones of this today in Hendersonville, had a junior program that started at age 5. And you could play a few holes from 5 to 6 and play a few more holes if you were 7 to 8. And then, obviously the age groups moved on up to more holes. And that's how I got started, competing at a young age. And even funnier, there was a miniature golf course not too far from our house there in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And they had a Saturday morning league. And if you can believe it, and it wasn't.
Whoa, stop. A miniature golf league?
Yeah. And it wasn't like, the crazy miniature golf. This was actually the skill miniature golf that.
Kind of like what Pop Stroke is now?
But,
okay.
But this was still, it was a little more competitive environment. It wasn't goofy golf. There was no clowns or no obstacles that you really had to. You just had to learn how to bank it off the boards at certain angles. And it was something I can still remember, a great memory that I had. That Saturday morning, they had this league of people, young people, old, amateur, good, terrible golfers that would play. And, for a little kid to get a trophy at a young age, man, that just sparked my interest. And so with that, and then playing at our junior tournaments at the golf course, starting at a young age, was just a great foundation to build and learn the game on.
Robbie Davis, the women's head coach at Florida Southern, is our guest here on Party Time, brought to you by Party Drinks and the golf real estate pros of Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh from suncoastdreams.com. Robbie, did you play other sports, or were you just all golf from a young age? Tell me.
I liked anything that had a ball in it, really. Played a lot of soccer, some basketball. I was not tall enough to continue playing basketball, nor fast enough. Loved soccer, and then played a little bit of baseball, little leagues. But once I felt like I was pretty good at golf, I stuck to it. And that's where kind of one of my funny stories was. We moved from Hendersonville, Tennessee to Lakeland, Florida in August of 79. And our public course had something on Mondays. Every Monday, they had a Monday junior league that they called it the Junior Citrus. And it ended up being in a final tournament at the end of the summer called the Junior Citrus Open. It's still played today. And so that's how I continued to play the game and got into it and enjoyed playing. But that's how it started, just playing golf until I was good enough to play. And then once I got pretty decent, my dad realized I needed a teacher. And that's when David Ledbetter started his academy at Greenleaf. And I remember going to him in 1984. And he had a little shack on the back of the Greenleaf West golf course. And you would bring your VCR tapes. And he would do a 4-person lesson on Saturdays from 1 to 4. And that's how I began my golf instruction, is through David and through his assistant, Chris Gahan. And they helped me, become better. And obviously David has gone on to amazing things and to become one of the best teachers in the world now. But I was fortunate to get on the front end when he had first started in Florida at Greenleaf West, which
now was Nick Faldo around at that point?
Yeah, I was too young to know much about golf in the professional ranks, but I can still remember this day of hitting balls next to Nick Faldo, Nick Price, David Frost, Andy Bean. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Little did I know, what golfers they would become too. But sure, David would do his group instruction with us, and then he would finish with us and go, give lessons and instruction to the good golfers of Price and Faldo and Frost. And so that was a pretty cool memory of learning the game.
I would say so, because instruction's important, but sometimes just seeing it done for real.
Yes.
And knowing that that's the way to do it and that's where I want to be. Was that your takeaway from it?
Sure. And then when the video system got a little more, player friendly, I guess, they would do split screen. And so obviously it was nice to put your swing up against, Faldo or one of the other guys. I remember he put mine up against Ernie Els, and I thought, wow, this is pretty cool that you'd even put my swing up against those guys. But, obviously you learn a lot from the best, and to learn at an early age was really beneficial to me.
Tell me this, the pros that you just mentioned, from Faldo to Nick Price, did they ever talk to you? Did you have Did they take an interest in you?
No, I didn't really talk to them. Yeah, they were pretty much all business when we were there getting lessons. Obviously, I became to know Andy Bean pretty well because of his affiliation with Lakeland, Florida, and we both graduated from the same high school, Lakeland High, and he was a member at Lone Palm, where we still practice and play today with the team. So he became a good friend and a mentor also. But the other guys, they were all business, and I understood that. And, it was just neat to see them hit the ball and see it, performed at a high level.
Well, Andy could really hit the ball back in the day. I think he had to have been one of the premier long iron players.
Absolutely.
Back when guys were playing long irons and not so much hybrids. And I would imagine, did you, when you turned pro, and maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but we'll come back to the college story and everything. But when you turned pro, was part of that, like, I want some of what Andy has, and that's where my dreams are?
Well, honestly, he was pretty intimidating to play with, just because he was a competitor, man. But we were trying to beat him at all times, but rarely did we do it. So it was he was always good about letting us play with him and being competitive and learning that golf, if you're going to be good at it, you got to work hard and you got to want it. And we could see that in him. And that was something, obviously, that was pushed on me when we played professionally, that you can't take this game you got to do everything you can to be the best. And he definitely showed us that. And he had the skills and definitely the it factor. And that guy was a competitor to the end, and he did not like to lose. And so we rarely beat him, but when we did, man, it was something special.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Something to aspire to.
Sure.
So back, so you were playing with, like, when you say we were trying, like, who's the we? Are these like fellow junior golfers that he'd sometimes let tag along?
Yes. No, I was just so blessed to be a part of a group of guys that we grew up, like I said, we grew up playing and learning the game at Cleveland Heights in that Monday League, Junior Citrus. My good friend, Keith Albritton, that still lives in Lakeland here. And he's played at the University of Florida with DeMarco and Pat Bates and Dudley Hart. So me and Keith grew up together. And then we had two other great friends that, one of my friends, Eric Williams, went to Furman. One of my other friends, Tommy Richards, went to Florida Southern. So we grew up learning the game together, and, we competed together and just played every day together. I mean, I can't imagine how many rounds we must have played together, but that was pretty fortunate. And then had two other good friends, Robert and Guy Hill. And Guy Hill was pretty successful. Robert played on the Nike Tour for a year. Guy qualified and played on the PGA Tour, but we played together a lot. Robert went to Florida State. Guy went to played at Miami, and then he transferred and won national championship at Florida. And so, I mean, all these guys played at a high level, and for us to play together daily was huge.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's how, I mean, that fuels you. You see what you got to work on. You have that constant competition. You're playing for something, bragging rights. I mean, was there a little side gambling with just for Cokes or something, or a couple bucks?
Always, yes. We played. Yeah, I mean, none of us had any money to lose, so it was always lost between the group of us. So you lost some days, you win it back the other days, And then of course we'd play gin up in the third floor of the clubhouse when it started raining, and so it was competitive all the time.
Oh, that's good. That's the full golf experience. More than golf going on, you're playing gin afterwards.
Yeah.
That's at a young age too.
Yeah. Well, all of us were probably between, 20 and 27. And I remember Robert's dad one time told us we were a bunch of gypsies, saying, you guys don't even know what the real world's like. You sit there and you play golf and play cards all day. And I was like, I don't care what you're saying. It's fun. I'm going to keep doing it.
Hey, tell me about college. You went to University of Kentucky. How'd you end up there, and what was the experience like?
Well, I told you earlier, my grandfather was principal of Lafayette High School in Lexington, Kentucky for 37 years. And so my dad grew up in Lexington, and my grandfather was a professor at University of Kentucky. My dad and my mom and my uncle, my grandfather, all went to the University of Kentucky. So it was burned into me at a young age, University of Kentucky. So that was always something I was interested in going to. But, Florida Southern obviously was a huge draw too. I think if I didn't live so close to the school, I probably would have ended up here at Florida Southern. But it was just too close. I felt like it'd be going to high school again. And so I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to play at the University of Kentucky. And, they say it's the best 4 years of your life. And honestly, it was even better for me. So it was the best 5 years of my life. And,
okay. Well, stop it there. What happened? Was there a red shirt, or we just needed a little extra time?
Yeah. I played for 4 years and couldn't take the load of classes to graduate in 4. So the coach and at Kentucky, they took care of you. If you wanted to graduate, they would take care of you your 5th year. And so I helped out part-time just with the team, driving them, helping out when I could with practice. And so it was a great opportunity to be able to practice and play for free and to get your education and graduate from the University of Kentucky. So it was an amazing opportunity, and just still remember and still have great friends there today that I played with. So it was an unbelievable time for me.
Well, I remember one of your teammates, the big kid from Argentina. We talked about this
Yes.
in the Caddy
Alan
Shack.
Horowitz. Yes.
And he was a great guy. I mean, he was like the most fascinating man in the world before we knew who the Dos Equis guy was.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was. Alan was just jovial, big guy who had a big heart, and he was just a lot of. And I've lost touch with Alan, but I know he's doing very successful now. He went back to Argentina, and I think works with one of the oil companies back there. And all my friends that I graduated with are doing just tremendous. Marshall Butler, who I played with, one of my best friends, his son just J.M. Butler just won the national championship with Auburn this year. So got to see him. One of my great friends, Timmy Leroy, still lives there. Mark McIntyre, Matt McIntyre, just tremendous friends. And one of my best friends, Mark Lalonde, who is just a great, great friend that I still keep in touch with. And probably one of the funniest human beings ever is Andrew Price. And I hope I get to see you sometime in the future, Andrew. You might be the funniest human being I've ever been around, and probably one of the most talented golfers. We had an amazing group of guys that we got to play with every day.
Well, college golf is like you spend so much time together on the golf course, practicing together, traveling together. At Purdue, our coach was afraid to fly, so we did a lot of driving in the oversized van, and the shenanigans that went on in that van were just, borderline criminal, but absolutely entertaining and unforgettable.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah. We didn't let our coach drive. We didn't let him drive. He drove too slow. He wasn't aloof, but we feel like he would just space out. So we just said, Coach, we're driving. You just sit in the back. And, you could do things like that today.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah.
You give us the keys and just tell him to pick him up in the morning. You know what I mean? And no way that would happen today.
Well, at least he gave you the keys. We stole the keys at Purdue, for the excursions, like on spring break, when we were supposed to be staying at the time of our life. So good. Yeah. When did turning pro start entering the picture?
Well, my dad was always very encouraging about my game and told me he felt like I would be disappointed if I didn't give it a try right after school. And so honestly, I didn't feel like I wanted to start working. I didn't really know what I was good at except for golf. So I was like, hey, yeah, let's do it. And so we got some sponsors, and a lot of friends and family who I still are good friends with today sponsored me for 3 years. And so that was amazing to be able to play with a lot of high level people and learn to play for money. It's a whole different ball game when your rent check is dependent on how well you do. And it makes it a little more stressful on you. The game loses maybe a little bit of its fondness, I guess, for fun when you're doing it that way, because things are critical now when you don't play well. Before you could slough it off like, well, in college, my teammates will pick me up, or I've got this next tournament I'm looking forward to, and that'll be fine. I'll play good in that. But, I remember playing a couple times, playing real well, shooting 3-4 under, like at Disney Palm. I remember I played that course real well and made like $250. And I'm like, what's going on here? It doesn't seem that hard for those guys on TV.
Right.
So, but it was a great learning experience.
It's tough to make the math work, because unless you're taking it deep all the time, like those purses on the mini tours, they start getting really thin. Yeah. Once you're out of the top 3, even they start going down. So, I mean, did you get to the point where you talked about it being a pro changes the dynamics? I guess there's a sense of desperation that comes in. The pressure's different. Mm-hmm. What was it too much, or had you had enough? When did you decide, like, I think I'm done with pro golf? And was that were you relieved, or was that a hard moment?
I was relieved. I think I had played fairly well and not seen any fruits. And so, that's just disappointing, because most of my friends were doing pretty good and making a living, and, they'd make their check and they were getting ready to buy a house. And me and my wife, Joy, at the time, were living in this duplex that actually we still drive by today, which is still a wonderful time. But, it's a little more stressful when you're having to pay for the groceries and stuff and the rent check, and it looks like you're not going anywhere. So, and two, I looked at my game, and I was pretty decent at everything, but I wasn't great at anything. And I think that's what takes the average to great to, to good to great player. You got to be great at something. You got to either be a great driver of the ball or a great, iron play, or definitely a great putter. And I was just good. And so, that would give me that, 2-3 under, and I'd make my $200 to $300. And I realized that, I've got to do something different. So after my second try at Q school, I realized that, it's time to move on. And I think I'd played so much golf by then. It was like, this is a relief. You know what I mean? It's, let's go learn to enjoy the game again. And so fortunate enough, a coaching opportunity came knocking. And, I believe God directs all things. And I was, you say you're the right place at your right time, but I exactly was at the right place at the right time. And
where was that?
So
what was this stepping in?
Yeah, growing up in Lakeland, obviously the men's golf program had been so successful for many, many years with Lee Jansen, Rocco Media, Marco Dawson, a few others, Jeff Clark, and Rodney Butcher. I mean, so many great players. I'm missing a few others. But so the men's program had a great history. And I knew the men's coach at that time, Coach Doug Gordon. He had been so successful at Georgia Southern. And I remember talking to him, and he says, you just got to hang around and hopefully something will open. And then sure enough, it did. They started the women's program. They hired a coach. The coach didn't work out for them, and they asked me to come on part-time. And I was part-time for a few months, and they said, well, we're gonna make you full-time, but we're just going to pay you part-time. So I was like, oh, okay, that doesn't sound great, but we're going to do it.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Here's more work, but we're not going to pay you.
Well, so this was, 97. And, most of the coaches I knew at Florida Southern, including Coach Gordon. Coach Gordon had to teach full-time also and coach. And all the other coaches had to do the same thing. So basically they were saying that we don't have anything for you here yet at the college, but we'll let you work in the morning and then coach in the afternoon. So I was like, oh, okay. And so I guess a friend or something said, well, you can substitute teach. Why don't you do that? So I was like, oh, okay, that sounds good to me. So I would. So I substitute teach in the mornings, and then we'd have practice around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So
okay, hold on. I want to know about the substitute teaching.
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, actually,
and how did the students treat you?
Actually, it was awesome because being from Florida, I knew a lot of people, and I knew which teachers to sub for and which ones not to. And so, drafting was always my favorite one because they would literally watch movies and then do their work while they're watching movies. And I like, this is a pretty good gig. And of course, doing PE, you'd substitute for PE. I was like, this is awesome too. And yearbook,
playing all day.
I love subbing for yearbook. And we watched Titanic. I remember the whole week that I did yearbook. And home ec, that was another favorite one because, man, you could.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like, what were your home ec skills?
Well, it was just great because, the class was laid back and, they do kind of fun activities and do worksheets. And, I could just sit back and enjoy talking with them. So there wasn't a lot of teaching that I would be doing. It's more just facilitating and making sure people didn't leave. And so I did that for a few years. And then 2000, we won our first national championship. And I guess that triggered the higher ups to say, hey, this can be something that I think maybe we can have a future with. And that's when Title IX was starting to come around, and they needed women's programs to begin to be successful. And again, I was at the right place at the right time. And they said, here's what we're going to do. You're going to work in the business department in the mornings because we don't have anything for you in the athletic department. And so our athletic director, Hal Smeltzley, who was an amazing baseball coach for Florida Southern, won many national championships, and they called him the Silver Fox for many reasons. But for one, he was able to work the numbers to get his coaches a decent salary, but he would work it one way or the other where you were making money off of somebody else, and he would pay you a marginal salary where someone else would pay the other part and make it full time. So that's how I started in 2000, full time finally.
But to do that, to be like full time, you had to get your master's degree, right? So most people get a master's degree so they would get paid for certain job. That was really just to keep the job that you loved and wanted to hang on to.
Right. Back then, and still today too, that they want most of the coaches to have their master's degree. But since I worked in the business department, they were kind enough to let me get my MBA. I had a bachelor's in finance and was able to get my MBA in some night classes. So I would take some night classes at night because it didn't interfere with golf really. And I was able to finish that and get my master's. And so that was pretty cool. So that was kind of another perk of being a coach, is you could get your master's for free also. So
which is nice, but that's a ton of work. So your schedule at that point is just chock full.
Yes. And so, but you're young, you don't think about things like that. You're like, let's go. And I'm never for one to sit around either. And so, that's why I love caddying too, not to get on another tangent, but that's, to get out, to be active, to feel like you're contributing, that's what I love to do. And to do it and get paid for golf, which is also something I love, that's another huge benefit. So that was, that's the beginning of my career right there. And now 27 years later, I'm still doing it.
Still doing it. And it sounds like you got a lot more years left. Robbie Davis, the head women's coach at Florida Southern, is our guest here on Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for a good drink alternative, Party is for you. And if your dream is to live in a golf-related community, a golf resort community, no place better than Lakewood National Golf Club, and no realtors better for the golf experience than Vince Vizicaro and Gene Walsh from suncoastdreams.com, a division of fine properties in the greater Sarasota area. So, Robbie, tell me this. You've done it a long time. It's had to have changed in some ways. What was coaching like in the beginning, and how has it evolved?
Well, it's different. The same aspects for greatness are still there. Hard work, persistence, short memory, love of the game. Obviously, those things are not going to change, but the obstacles, I think, are a little harder now. Social media has really, I think, hurt competitive golf coaching. I think for me, it's just, golf, you have to be so focused on it 24/7, and it gives back very little. And that's the hard part about the game, is that this is a game that you may never learn the greatness of it. And it just beats you down. And so it's just harder. I've had to become a little bit more creative with practice, a little bit more. I didn't used to have time limits on practice, but now I do, because players aren't used to practicing for 3, 4, 5 hours like I used to, like we used to have. And, and before social media and a lot of these other entertainment things that have kind of really grown, and of course I love it too, I'm not saying it, but, it's really hurt the love of the game. And so you got to be creative on helping people learn to love it now, learn to love a very difficult game. Like I said, that gives back very little.
Maybe help me understand something. How is the social media? Is it because it's a distraction?
It's a distraction, and it's just limiting people's attention span.
Oh,
I just feel it's very hard to get people, the players, to get their phone away from them, to not worry about the things that they have to do, because the social media is not going to take a back seat. It's going to be paramount to the exciting stuff that they are doing, and to, and even 10, 15 years ago, we didn't have to worry about it. It was,
You had nothing to do but focus on your golf.
Play golf. And
so you got lost in your golf.
You got lost in your golf, and then you would go watch some other sports. Mm-hmm. And so now, most sports are watched streaming, and you can do that. I can sit here and put my phone on and watch something while we're doing our interview, which is crazy. And so that's been more difficult, but, the aspects of greatness are still there, and teaching players about how to be great is still, what I love to do, and helping them learn and become a better person. And golf does that. It forces you to become a better person, or you'll quit the game, because it's just so difficult. It's mentally taxing, physically taxing. And, I remember Stuart Appleby saying it gives back 1%. Mm-hmm. And we practice for that 99% to get that 1%. And so that's hard with this new upcoming age, is to tell them that you're going to have to sacrifice something that's really exciting on the side for you to go get beat up every day for the next 4 years.
Yeah. And it's a losing game. We lose more than we win. I mean, as much as we thought Tiger dominated golf, He did in the capacity that we're used to. Sure. Like, he won more than anybody, but he lost. It's just like hitting in baseball. 300 is considered successful. Well, that means you failed 70% of the time.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the caddying. You tell me, what makes a good caddy? What do you get out of it? And what do you try to do for the folks you're looping for?
One, I want them to have fun, because I think that's the key to coming back and wanting to play more, is you got to learn to have fun. And so, caddying, I'm just their biggest cheerleader. And so I'm out there encouraging, trying to help people, when they've had a bad hole, just pick up, that's no worries. We're going to do it again this next hole, and you're going to hit a good shot. And so that's fun. And just meeting new people and learning their stories. That's awesome. And helping someone play a good round, that's amazing. And honestly, learning from the other caddies like you and Greg Lupavol, that's just he's got to be the best caddy master in the world. He's just phenomenal. His stories are amazing too. Just being around you all and learning and hearing other stories about how to play better golf, that's what excites me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I kind of feel like when I do what you do, I try and be a cheerleader, make it very positive, all about them. And if there's some coaching where I think I can help them, I try to do that too. So for me, it's kind of like, I'm not a coach like you are, but I kind of feel like I'm a coach at least for a couple hours. Do you feel like that way too? Absolutely.
There's nothing better than to give somebody some advice and have them play better. You know what I mean? To see the smile on their face, the energy that they get, the excitement of wanting to try it again. To take somebody from the lows of making a bad score on one hole and then helping them make a good score on the next hole, that's awesome. And then to get paid for it, that's even better. So, there's the excitement of helping somebody and being rewarded for it. On both ends, you're getting something good coming out, and, feeling like that you've made a difference in someone for that day or for that shot is, exciting.
Yeah. I feel like I give them a good read. They made that putt. I may be as excited as they are, because I felt like I did that. Yeah. You're telling my story too. It's like, I'm playing golf too. I'm just not hitting the shots. Hey, Robbie, tell me a good golf story. Just one that's always a go-to, that's either funny, inspirational, something you saw, somebody you played with, one that...
Well, we talked about it a little bit before the show started about when I won the 1990 State Am, and I was fortunate enough to win that through a playoff. And so I tied with another competitor, and we tied the first hole at Bear Lakes, and the second hole at Bear Lakes is a par 3. I can't remember how far it was. I just remember it was a 6-iron. And so I went to my caddy, Brian. I said, Brian, looks like it's a 6-iron. give me that. And he said, can't do it. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, well, we left the 6-iron at the driving range, meaning he left the 6-iron at the driving range. And so I was not going to be hitting the 6-iron. He said, you're going to have to cut the 5 in there. And it's a story we still tell today. And so I flailed it out to the right. And my competitor, we both made bogey. And so we went to the third hole, and I was able to win on the third hole. And so just a great story about, opposition and, are you going to take that, obstacle of not having the club you want, or are you going to do something about it? And that's kind of the way he basically said, no, we're not going to hit the 6-iron. And that's like, what are you talking about? He says, it's not available. It's not available for you to hit. So you're going to have to hit something else. And so I did, and, made the best of what I had and ended up winning. So it's a memory that I'll have the rest of my life. And it's just tremendous. And still me and Brian are friends today, and we tell that story. So
it's a good thing it ended well. I think this story would be entirely different if you didn't win that playoff.
Yes.
And making bogey on that hole because you didn't have the club.
Yeah.
All right, Robbie, we're getting down near the end. So I'm going to give you the final word here. Why don't you just tell me in your words, what does golf mean to you? How important is it in your life?
Well, it's just life lessons. It's being able to face adversity. I feel like the game gives you so much adversity. If you can face it and get through it and still have your mind's wits about you, you can handle life and you can handle whatever it throws to you. And, I think that's what God has blessed me with, is being able to enjoy the game and learn it and love it and meet new people like yourself, Kevin, and tell the stories that we've told. It's just amazing sport for something that's that difficult. But be able to enjoy those little wins that you get, like I said, with the State Am win, having an obstacle and being able to overcome that and still win. And that just makes something about life worth living. And golf gives you that opportunity.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine life without golf. It builds character, it reveals character, and you just stick with it. And I think if you love it, it'll love you back. But man, it beats you up sometimes too.
Yes, it does.
But so does life, right?
Absolutely.
All right, Robbie, let's call it a day. I'll see you at the shack on down the road. Good luck to the Lady Moccasins this year. Let's see if we can bring home national title number 4. How does that sound?
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Or 5. Did I get the numbers wrong?
You number 5. Number 5. We need 5.
5 it is. That'd be great. And then you come back and we can relive that. Okay.
Absolutely.
How's that sound?
Thank you so very much, Kevin.
Yep, you got it. Hey, big thanks to our sponsors, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a golf alternative, Party is for you. And the Golf Real Estate Pros at suncoastdreams.com, Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For Robbie Davis, head women's coach at Florida Southern, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the Golf Real Estate Pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.
This is Vince Vizzacaro and Gene Walsh with the suncoastdreams.com real estate team at Fine Properties. We've helped hundreds of families find their dream homes in golf and resort communities in Lakewood Ranch, Bradenton, Sarasota, Parrish, Venice, and the surrounding areas.
Let us be your guides to finding your dream home here as well. Learn more at suncoastdreams.com or call us at 941-220-4000.